Hi guys, welcome to the spoiler section of this.
Indeed.
Alright, so the scene that I was talking about, like how, well, first of all, let's go with how it all began. Like, I like how they started it with it's 1650 something or something like 1620.
1673.
Okay, there we go, 1673. There we go. Glad we have references and notes. Um, and yeah, so it's this girl who has this family,
Yeah.
and like you have no context whatsoever.
No.
You just all of a sudden this kid is by himself, and then he goes to find his mom and his brother, and she finds them in a river, and she's drowning his brother, and then she finds him and drowns him.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts. And it's just like, whoa, that was dark. That was super dark.
I mean, yeah, considering at first it's just like you have the family, they're playing, it's like they're all playing together there at first, and then all of a sudden, nope. It's just the mother, the father's gone, and then the kids, and then, yep, now she's drowning them.
And then you find out later that apparently he slept with someone else, and she, in a fit of rage, killed her two kids.
Yeah.
And then when she realized what she'd done, she'd killed herself. And now she's just this dark spirit.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Which is kind of sad.
Indeed. And like I said, the best parts with her, I think, were when she was shrouded in shadows.
Yeah, because it came off a little more.
And the noises that she'd make.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, when she would... But I did like when he hands her the necklace, how she goes almost back to human again. So I thought that was done really well.
Indeed. And then, of course, I mean...
But yeah, there were points when she was obviously in her dark spirit form, where she was really lighting up. I mean, it was scary the first couple times, but they did it so many times. Like, it kind of lost its intimidation and fear factor.
I get that still, but, I mean, again, it looked like, again, it could have been something that was real. It gave it its own neat effect, I mean, but still, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, but yeah. But it was, I mean, definitely, I mean, you're seeing that it starts off again in 1673, and then again, after that whole thing happens with the mother drowning her kids, and then pretty much ending her life, it ends up...
Well, you don't see that, though. You
know, you don't see it. I know, you don't see that, but it fast forwards pretty much after that, and you go
pretty much modern time.
Modern time here, like 300 years later.
Yeah, and... Yeah, so, like... the main family, like, she's a social worker. Her father was, or I mean, not her father. Her husband was a cop. It's assumed that he was killed in the line of duty. Yeah. And that's why she's a single mother.
Yeah.
You know, and apparently it was very recently because they're all still dealing with it. So I mean, that one dinner they refer to it as just like one of those years. So like at least a year ago. Yeah. Which I mean is a little bit of time. You know, they're not all just grief broken stricken, but I mean clearly, like, you see there are issues in the home.
Yeah, there's definitely issues there.
And also at her work, I mean, it's affecting her work. She doesn't show up on time, so they're starting to give some of her cases to another worker.
I believe her name was Donna.
Yeah.
But yeah, and one of the cases was one that she had been working on for quite a few years. For the person she was working with was somebody by the name of Patricia, and she had 2 kids.
Yeah, and like her kids had stopped going to school. Yeah. So she went over there to check out what it was, and she finds them locked in the closet, and then her mother like attacks her like. It's a little weird. Like, I mean, obviously the mother's a little troubled. I mean, it's revealed, you know, she had alcohol problems, did drug things. So I mean, she's a little bit touched. But I mean, why would you attack a cop if you're trying to protect your kids? Like, why not just explain this to them? You know. So again, another horror film trope. Yeah. You know, don't explain something right off the bat.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, you find out, of course, later, of course, that's because she was, again, I mean, she's overwhelmed with everything that's happening because she's being haunted by, of course, this.
Yeah, I mean, you see a little later on, she probably has been through the ringer. And
yes.
So,
and then, I mean, it affected even her kids, and so the kids were even afraid.
Yeah.
Of course, this evil spirit of this woman who has just come back, and she's like trying to take over and take control of other people's children so she can pretty much drown them in the end. And just
well, she can't really take control of them unless she gets like.
Well, I know. I'm just
like
saying,
gets to the point where she embraces them and like tries to drown them.
Yeah,
but she pretty much links herself through the family by gripping them, and then like it burns their wrists.
Yeah.
Like.
And that's what they first see. I mean, the kids when they go to the hospital, they're like,
well, it wasn't
as well.
Well, oh yeah, that's what they see. Like, but how she got latched on. It's just, and that's another question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the Patricia's kids, they've been taken. They've been drowned, and she's going to check that out. She brings her kids along. I mean, why you would do that, I don't know. That's another weird thing. So there were a lot of weird, like I said, it's tropey as hell. But I mean, it was a good story. There were just some things I'm just like, why would a normal person do this?
Wow.
But then it's just like, this is horror movie logic, so okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she brings her kids. She tells them to stay in the car, but I mean, these are little kids. Whoa.
Pressing buttons now.
Yes, apparently. Anyways, yeah, these are kids. They're, once they see stuff going on, they're not going to stay put. I mean, the daughter's asleep, but the son, he's not going to stay put. So he goes to investigate because there's yelling and all that kind of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then as he's watching, like, you see this figure just appear in the shadows, just crying.
Yeah.
And then you look over and just like, and it was creepy at first because you see her crying, and then all of a sudden it's just like, well, no, she doesn't attack. It's just this. She stops crying, and then she turns and you hear this like, it almost sounds like her, this crack, like a bones breaking or something, like the dead dark spirit like noise when they do that. And then she just quickly rushes up, grabs him, and then that's that. She tries to get in the car. Like, that's when everything starts really fast in this, and that's why I like this, and that's why I think jump scares kind of work for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some creepy parts of it, but I think the jump scares work for it because, it does have kind of a slow pace, but it literally starts quick. It starts early, and it just ramps up really well.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I had no complaints about pacing.
I definitely would agree.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you see all this weird stuff start happening, like, she gets to her daughter, like, through the umbrella at the swimming pool, and that was creepy. Like, she opens it up, there she is.
Yeah.
Closes it. Nope. No one there. And then the wind blows, keeps blowing it out.
And blows it into the pool, so.
Yeah, she grabs it, and then grabs her wrist, latches onto her now.
Yeah.
And then, there's just all this weird stuff going on. And another thing, which, this actually, this always annoys me about horror films. And that's no one wanted to acknowledge what's going wrong at first.
Yeah.
It's just like, I fell down.
Yeah. That's how they got hurt and where those marks came from. They fell or something happened, and it was just nothing.
Yeah, it's only once
actually happened, or nothing really did this to me. Nothing is happening.
Yeah, it's only once she attacks the son and pushes him down the stairs, and the caseworker comes.
Yeah.
Where she starts to suspect something, but it's not until her daughter is almost drowned in the tub.
Yeah.
until she goes to the church and asks what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's going to be 7 weeks, but he refers to her to the local guy,
again, the guy that ends up helping them is Raphael.
Yeah, yeah. And he's someone who was in the church but left the church, but still like does like spiritual healing, like a shaman or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes, and again, I just love his character so much. Like when he first goes in, like he does this thing with this ritual with like a bunch of eggs.
Yes.
And pretty much like depending on how much blood there is how bad the spirit is and how infested the house is with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he cracks the egg. It's like this black blood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and she's just like, oh, I've seen this on Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And then the egg starts spinning, and then they go, and they explode, and there's blood everywhere. And he's just like, ta-da.
Ta-da.
He just had this dry sense of humor. Like, he's such a serious guy, but he has this dry sense of humor that's just endearing to him almost.
Yep.
So I liked him
it was definitely
a lot.
It was definitely good. I did enjoy it.
You know, and then there was also, like, at the end of the movie, like, when they finally defeat, which was really, well, like, at least banish her from, like, being latched onto the family is what I assume happened. So apparently, like, there's this tree called the fire tree, and he has this cross made out of the wood from that, and apparently it has power over her because that's the trees that were in the river where she drowned her kids.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much as the only witness to that, they have power over her.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you know, for lore, that sounds good. I mean, if you were to look at it without looking at like folk tales and like local, obviously, history and mythology, you know, you'd be like, that's dumb. But no, I mean, when you look at it from a historical perspective, that actually does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, so at the end, they stab her with this cross, and then she just sort of like melts away, and it's just like, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, and now what? Like, is she gone? You know, because if she's gone, then it's just like, she's been around for nearly 300-400 years. Like, you wouldn't think someone in the probably hundreds, if not thousands, of mothers, fathers, like, would think to do something like that to stop her.
Yeah, you think.
So yeah, I mean, that's why I'm thinking that she was just, banished from the family,
mainly.
Which is, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she's gone. I mean, that's too easy, and it would be ridiculous. But it ended in a very obscure way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's looking down at a puddle that's like a puddle of tears, and it's like,
all right.
Yeah. So I mean, it kind of opens up to a sequel, or at least another tie-in, like this one was to the Conjuring universe. But I mean, it also keeps it to where you could just end it there.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, I wasn't impressed with the ending, and that was the one thing I think brought it down from what otherwise I would have given it like a 7, maybe an 8.
I can see that. Yep. But yeah, I definitely agree.
In terms of
the ending. If they did more with the ending, I mean, probably would have been a little bit better for me too. But again, it's just like, okay, what's going on now? But it was still good. And then I mean, again, and you, of course, you went to the end, of course, already, but you did forget about the part, of course. I mean, the little girl, she left her doll, or she lost her doll.
Oh yeah. There was like the seeds of the fire tree, like she had it, and it was just barely out of reach.
Yeah, and then she accidentally moves the doll on top of it so she gets access into the house again.
And she grabs her and she almost drowns her.
In the
but
pool
because
almost.
she had her in her embrace, she now, whenever she calls, she has to come.
Yeah.
So her brother has to watch over her.
And then the mother was able to get the necklace, or they were
in the swimming pool. In the swimming pool. Yeah.
That she had, it was a gift that her kids had given to her. You noticed at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So, but they had that, but then after that whole thing happened, it ended up getting to the point, where they end up stabbing her in the end with, of course, that cross that was made out of course, that's tree, the fire. What tree again is it? I'm trying to remember.
It had a Spanish name, something El Fuego, but I forget what tree is in Spanish.
Yeah, but yeah, it was definitely good for what it was. So.
Indeed. So yeah, and once she goes up, he goes again. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Indeed.
Yeah, and he's constantly telling him that he's not scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess keeps him safe, but I mean, it's one of those endearing, like, just dry humor things.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd agree.
Yeah, and I liked her. And then the mom the first mom, not the
Patricia.
Patricia, the one that had the issues and her kids were killed. She comes
because
she's had this misguided belief that LLorona would bring her kids back if she gave her hers instead, and
gave Anna her kids to her at that point.
Yeah, and it got intense there for a second.
Yeah, it did.
Like Raphael was shot.
Yes.
But then she eventually came through, and it never talks about what happened to her. That's another thing that's just like ended. I mean, did she go to jail? Is she okay? I mean, obviously she's not okay. She lost both of her kids, but I mean,
of course.
So like I said, there were some loose ends that I thought were a little bit weird, but I mean, for the most part, this was a great movie. I enjoyed watching it.
I did too.
You also enjoyed watching me jump.
Indeed. It's always fun to see you jump.
Indeed. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with a 6 on this. 6 for you.
Yep.
Yep. So again, that's not bad. It's above average.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good movie. Mm-hmm. It's just a bit generic as far as a horror film goes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I was a little disappointed with the ending, but I mean, I get it. So. Indeed. I think that is it for that. Mm-hmm. And we will catch you guys next time.
Yep. We'll see you then.
Mm-hmm.